Back again with Coach Chris Lowery here. Another guest, former Wildcat great Thomas Gipson with us. First question is, can you do better than J.O. did on this last time?
Yeah, I plan on it. So we'll see. I think I'm already ahead of the curve. You know, what CeeLo told me.
Right. It's easier to be the second guy, you know, to come in and have some tips and that kind of stuff. First thing I really wanted to ask, which is really important, is if with Coach Lowery sitting right here, if you can tell me an embarrassing story about him or Coach Weber, something about those guys that a fan wouldn't know with the way they coach you guys.
An embarrassing story.
Yeah.
It's an embarrassing story for me, not for him.
It'll still be good.
My first year, my sophomore year, when I got here, his first year here, my head wasn't on straight. You know, I was going to class late. You know, being
missing
lazy, missing classes. I was gonna be a teacher. That's what my plan. My family is into teaching, my whole family, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. You know, and I tried it, didn't work out. You know, and I just stopped. And CeeLo got tired of it one day. You know, I was in Miss Leanne's office. She's the what do you call it?
Academic advisor.
Academic advisor.
Right.
Yeah, and we were there, and he sat us down and called my mom, you know, and it wasn't a good conversation at all. Cuss words here and there.
Shout out to Cassandra Gipson too, by the way.
Pretty embarrassing moment for me, but you know, I knew that he always had my back.
Right.
You know, after that, I think that's when I realized, like, if this guy's gonna be on me, then I know he's gonna have my back. You know, so.
And that was my question. You know, you said it was their first year there. So how long had you known Coach at this point when that happened?
It was only really a couple months.
Yeah,
it was like early. I don't even think the season had started. Was the season?
No,
it was. Yeah, it was like before the even season started.
We hadn't started practicing yet. So.
Yeah, it was early. So.
And like you said, something Coach Lowery said in the last one was how that was really just well stated. Was people get worked up sometimes about what coaching staff they played for, who they played for. Did it take very long at all to feel like you were one of his guys, one of Coach Weber's guys?
Not at all. You know, it was rough at first, you know, to try and get, acclimated with the new offense and everything. Sure. And I was overweight, you know, so there was a lot of things going on with that, private workout sessions that I had to do, to get better. And they were on me about that. And I knew from the beginning that, they would be on my side, and I would be on theirs, and I would work hard for them and play hard for them. And that's what I did for the 3 years. I know Frank, recruited me, and brought me in, thanks to him. Manhattan is a wonderful place to be. But, this is my family. I go to their dinners. I do everything. I do everything with them. So, yeah, I'm good.
We'll go back and forth some between your time at K-State and what you're doing now, but I am curious, for those who haven't followed along, what are you doing now? Where are you playing? Where's your career taking you, since you left Manhattan?
Well, my whole story with that, I've been in Finland my first year. I did pretty good. Won a championship my first year. And my second year, I was in France for one team in the highest division, Pro A.
Right.
Unfortunately, to some bad, decisions in my career, that I chose, I had to leave, just because I wasn't playing enough and everything. So I had to do that. I went to Ukraine,
right?
For maybe 2 weeks, and that was not a really good place to be. I've had highs and lows overseas.
Of course.
And that was a low part. I was home. I went back home right after Ukraine. This is all in the second year. I went to Mexico, in Mexicali. I played with Jordan Enriquez. I played with J.O. For 3 days in Mexicali, and then I went back home again, and then right after that, I get a call again, right back to France in Pro B, in the second division, France. And I ended up winning a championship there, so I was 2 for 2, and, after that, bumpy road, it was a bunch of highs, a bunch of lows. To be blessed with a championship, that was amazing, and I think after that, I took basketball a little bit more serious because I was home for maybe 5 months, and I didn't know, I didn't know what to do, That was a low time for me. I didn't know what to do. So once I had that second chance, I took it from there, and I'm keep moving forward. So this my third year, I went back to Finland again. This was my second year in Finland, and unfortunately, I didn't win the championship because I was sick. I got sick my first round. I had a stomach virus, and so yeah, now I'm back here.
How different is the game of basketball at all those places and at that level than it was playing for Coach Lowery, Coach Weber here at K-State?
I think playing for Coach Lowery and Coach Weber was I had got a lot smarter with the game of basketball. I knew when to screen, when to cut, when to seal, post moves. I learned a lot of things with them. I mean, I was 3 years with them. I had to. They did majority of what I know now is because of them, and it's helped. The competition-wise, you see people that you played in the Big 12 Conference. You seen people that you play, around the NCAA.
Right.
So it's all the same. But I think you just have to personally just take your game to a different level because everybody's competing. Everybody's competing. I think for me, France Pro A was the highest division you could possibly get, and that's why I say I probably should have stuck with it. Sometimes through that rough time in France the first time. Because that's a high division. That's a place you really want to be, and so yeah, I think for there that's where I want to be. I want to get back there at some point.
Coach, he talked about some struggling when you guys came in. Is there a moment that stands out in your mind where he turned a corner, or you thought this is going to work out, or?
No, he told you about it. I think with Gip, we knew he could score the ball because I had played against him when I was head coach of Southern Illinois, and I knew, they had a big bruiser inside, and he was a freshman. When you got a double team of freshmen, that's pretty high regard.
Right.
So I just had to show him. That I cared enough about him that I was going to do something as low as call his mom. And, we could let him flunk out and got rid of him, but his value was too high. He was too good of a player, and we just showed him love and showed him respect and told I will call your mom at any time if you don't act right. But that's why we're close to him.
Right.
That's why we're close to his family.
Yeah.
And that's why his family comes to TCU and watches us play. He doesn't even play anymore.
Yeah.
So that type of they missed him being in that uniform so much that they come to TCU to watch us play. So that type of stuff is you can't measure, family. You can't measure, growing up with somebody like he did with us. So
right.
It was a bad experience for him at the time, but it was a turning point in his life, and he became a better student when he found something that he really wanted to do.
Thomas, the story he tells about you and your mom and that kind of stuff, Coach Lowery, Coach Weber have gotten a lot of credit really for doing the right things with players, but occasionally fans get upset, when a player misses games or transfers out or whatever for that. Was it ever frustrating for you to hear that talk, when you knew they were just doing the right thing for the program with players and guys like you?
No, I mean, I've always stuck with them, There was a time where, people would transfer and everything, and I always thought about it as well. But I talked to my grandpa. He's a great influence, on me, on my mom's side, and he just told me, you can't. There's no reason to. You're there, and I think for me, Manhattan is a great place to be. So I had no reason to transfer, honestly. It was a lot of chirping in my ear about it, but it happens, you just have to, keep a, forward face and, it's your path, everybody else's decision, that's on them.
And they've talked so much about, building things the right way. And then, last year, of course, the Elite Eight, the tournament the year before that.
Man.
How rewarding is it as, alumni of this university to see what they did, particularly last year?
Man, it's amazing. It's wonderful. I mean, because you see it. I was with them last summer, and just mentally they were working hard. Everything was. I feel like the Elite Eight, was earned for them. Because I seen them put in the work. Me, J.O., Tay, Shane. I mean, we were all there. We all witnessed it. So when we're overseas, we have something to look at. Because we're bored sometimes.
Sure.
I mean, all we do is just play basketball and watch TV and stuff. But especially when we're all graduated from K-State and we want to see the program do well, it's wonderful to see that. And we're doing it, this year. I believe they can go to the Final Four. I believe they can win a national championship. like their mentality is on a different level. You know, it's wonderful to see it.
And that's what I was going to go with too. You know, you talked about being here last summer, then to this summer, and you talk about how hard they worked last summer. Is there a different level of confidence, or I guess just expectations for this group coming off what they did last year? Do you think?
They know their expectations. I feel like they know their expectations, and I know what they need to do to get back to the Elite Eight, and you know, further. I feel like they're all on the right path. You know, I don't feel like anybody, you know, is cocky or too confident. They all have confidence about themselves,
right,
but in the right way, because they know what they're capable of. They know what they can do when they play as a team. You know, especially on defense. You know, like they know what they're supposed to do, and it's happy. Like it's a happy environment. And when it's a happy environment, that's when everything, you know, works.
I'm curious to both of you guys, like, what does one of these sessions look like? You know, when you and J.O. and Martavius, these guys are back. Do you split up? Are you playing 5-on-5? Do you got to keep you guys as a group and go against the bunch? What does it look like in these things?
Well, they always want to go old against new.
Yeah.
So they don't allow them the young boys to get on their team. They don't want them on their team.
No,
right.
Not at all.
And last summer they lost to the older guys all the time. They couldn't beat them. And as the summer progressed, they got better and better. But the thing is, it was IQ.
Yeah.
It was, you know, Kirk Kelly's a high-end pro. Gip, like Shane, you know, having J.O. You got all these guys that are professionals that earn their keep by playing basketball. And it was IQ stuff. And he couldn't beat them because they weren't smart enough to beat him.
Right.
And then as it progressed and they helped him, you know, talking to him and telling him what to do, it started to slowly turn and change, and you saw guys getting better, and you saw them competing. You know, Jacob, we went over there in Bramlett, and Jacob absolutely destroyed Barry.
Right.
You know, and
it was bad.
And I was like, and he was like, "This is still my, you know."
Of course.
He didn't say it like that. He didn't say it like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he said it in a way that you say when you're in open gym, and
course.
you're in the playground,
Right.
and nobody said no, it's not.
Right.
You know, they like and but now
Yeah.
that's Barry's house right now.
Right.
And the torch has been passed, you know, but he had to earn it, you know, from the guy who had it. And that's the beauty of sports. That's the beauty of athletics. When it took us, I don't know, how long has Jacob been gone? Since what, 08?
Yeah, almost
10 years to get to that point again, where you got a dynamic guard that good to be, you know, a first-team all-conference and all-American preseason. So, you know, we're back, but we want to keep that thing going in the right direction with players like that.
I asked, I think, J.O. the other day about what player would fit in back on one of those early teams, maybe your freshman year or J.O.'s last year, and he said Barry. Is that who'd come to mind for you, or is there somebody else who would have fit in really well on that team back then?
Man, for my freshman year, I think it would be Barry.
Yeah.
I just think because his mentality, he's a dog. He's an animal, you know, like he's always on time. He's early, you know what I'm saying? Him early is being on time, you know. He goes straight from what I've seen and from what I heard, you know, talking to him, you know, he goes straight from study table, what he has to do, to the gym. He's not taking naps, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not doing anything like that, you know, and I think he's able to, like, conversate, you know, and know that what it takes to be a professional, you know. So it's easy to talk to him about, you know, stuff like that and keep him on the right path.
A guy we didn't talk with J.O. about, you know, is Dean Wade, who plays a similar position to you, but, you know, different kind of player. What have you seen, you know, when you get to play against him in his growth in the last year?
I've seen him, like, extended. I don't know, like, he's just a special kid. There's nothing I can really say about him. Like, he does everything, you know. It's unfortunate that he was hurt. You know, I know we could have used him, for the game. But he's just a special kid, you know, just really crafty in the post, a lot of head fakes, you know, and he's real athletic, and he can shoot. I think he's obviously an important key to K-State basketball. So,
I'm curious, Coach, if the players are watching this or listening to you talk about Thomas, what's the one thing that you would want them to take from him or learn from him to emulate going forward?
Well, I mean, Thomas was a fast learner, you know, and Thomas allowed me to push him really, really hard. And, you know, I was never off of him, even when he deserved it, and he just took it. That was you know, sometimes as a player, it's hard for you to get coached and coached hard, and you know, always talked about by what it should be and how things ought to be, and you know. And at some point, you just got to shut up and not say anything. And I'm talking about me with regard to Thomas.
That's the quickest thing I learned. That's the quickest thing I learned.
But when he got going, you could not stop him from catching it. You couldn't stop him from turning over his right shoulder and shooting with his left hand. And, you know, I just think that sometimes you got to be a good soldier until it's your time to be the general. And he was a good soldier, and then it was his turn. And, you know, when it's your turn, you got to hit it out of the park. And, you know, Thomas scored a lot of points, had a lot of rebounds. And people don't realize how many points. I think he got 1,500 points. Is that right, Tom? He scored a lot of points, and you wouldn't have thought that. But when you play as a freshman like he did, and it was double-figure scores, sophomore, junior, senior, you know, that adds up. So, you know, he's in the record books more than people realize, and because he was a really good player here.
And then, Thomas, for you to kind of wrap it up, do you have any one memory or game that stands out for you in your time at K-State that when you think back to it, if you're going to tell, you know, kids, grandkids that that's the game you'd bring up?
There's a couple. A real important game. I'm gonna tell a funny one with CeeLo because it was my senior year and we were playing against Georgia, and I was hurt. You know, I didn't go to treatment because I had a study table and stuff, and basically, you know, everybody was upset about it. Not CeeLo, you know, he was trying to keep the peace, but I retaliated on him. I retaliated on a lot of people because it was just, you know, just one of those little practice feuds that you have with the coach and everything, you know. Don't want to go into, you know, too much detail, but I got kicked off the practice, and I didn't start that game. I didn't start that game.
Right.
But you know, I was a senior. I was frustrated, you know, but I took that to the chin. I understood, you know, he's making an example out of me. That game I have 19-9. We were down most of the game, but I think the second half, it was like just one stretch where I was just dominating. You know, I mean, everybody was getting involved. It was a good run, and I think I did that for myself. I think that was one time where I was like, you know, actually leading the team. Unfortunately, we still lost because we were down too much or something. But that was one. And I think another one was just like what Coach Lowery said, family is important. And in Austin, Texas, when we played Texas, I had family in Seguin. In Seguin, Texas. That's about a couple hours away from Austin. And they come and see me play. And there was one game in Texas where, you know, I had a really good game in front of my family, my grandparents, my great-grandma, you know, and my aunt, not my aunts, I'm sorry, but my dad's sisters and everything. Like, I don't see them often, you know, especially because I was in college and I wasn't going down there that often. So to play in front of them, it was wonderful. And I had a good game in front of them and everybody was happy and I took pictures with them. So I think that's another good, you know, game I had that I remember.
Well, Thomas, I really appreciate it. I know Coach Lowery appreciates you coming back, and the fans do too. I think when we've talked to some of the fans on the board, they're surprised and really impressed at how many guys come back and care about this program still and still put in work. So I know it's really, really meaningful to them, and we appreciate the time.
Oh, thank you, no problem.
Well, my favorite memories of Thomas, and you know, the biggest thing with him, we beat Kansas twice.
I was waiting for you to say Kansas,
and I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Like we beat Kansas
Georgia,
twice.
I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about family and
games
stuff.
he lost. Like, what do you? I don't care about those.
I wanted my family, man. I was thinking about my family.
All I think about is Holly Rowe up on the scores table and Gip up there, and then she's like she goes, "You got anything else, Gip?" And he says, "I'm out." And goes and jumps in the crowd.
The craziest thing though, like people were like on Twitter about talking like that was like outstanding and wonderful, but like I was just being natural, you know, like I just asked if she need help. I didn't think that, you know, the microphone was still on. You know, I could have said anything at that time, you know, but I wasn't thinking that. Like that was just natural. So I didn't really think that. I don't really think about that much, you know, but yeah, I guess that was a good time.
It was a great time. I think. I think back to the KU game and dunks and flexes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what my mind goes to. But you forget about.
I forget about those. But that's why it's good to be back here, because when I talk to them, those memories come back up, especially being with Jo and Shane and Tay, all of us. All those memories come back up. Right. So I mean, something might slip every now and then.
Coach, I did it again. I wanted to ask because I think it's fascinating about you playing with Shane and now coming back and seeing the role he has in the program, helping coach and run things. I mean, how funny is that to you? And then, how proud are you of him?
Oh, I'm super happy for him. I mean, I tell him all the time, but the jokes do have to fly. So I joke about it. He don't. I say how he wears a polo T-shirt now. He used to come with the dry fits on. Now he has a polo T-shirt on with. The coaching shoes and everything. He don't have to, tie his shoes up no more. Yeah. I see him, holding a whistle in his mouth. Like, it's just different. It's just seeing, my brother, doing something that he loves. It's wonderful. So I tell him all the time.
You see him telling kids stuff as a coach that he heard from Coach Lowery and stuff all the time, or is that?
Yes. Everything's being passed down to Shane. That's how I know he's going to be a wonderful coach down the road.
All right. Hey, appreciate it, Thomas. Best of luck, man.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah.